Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Soul Work. I'm your host, Jeni Cousins, and everybody knows our co-host, Kim Buckler. And we want to thank you for joining in tonight, and remember to keep safe driving on those roads. And just a reminder before we introduce our guest tonight, that after we take our break to give us a call and answer anything that you feel comfortable for, and to have us answer any questions as well. So what's that number, Kim?
It's 403-539-6710.
Absolutely. And we want to welcome a very special guest on tonight's show, and please welcome our guest, Dr.Beth Hedva. And thank you so much for coming on, Beth. It's a pleasure to have you on.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Jeni.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
You're
Kim.
welcome.
Yeah. Beth is a psychologist,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And can you explain to us what a traumatic spiritual awakening is?
Yes. In my work with people, one of the things I've recognized is that oftentimes crisis, trauma, even an unexpected disappointment, whether it's in love or work or even something, for example, in Calgary, we had the floods, for example, will suffer some kind of a shock. And that shock can actually be like a crack in consciousness, which actually can help us open our hearts. And the challenge is to not close down again afterwards. So how do we use those challenging experiences to search our souls and discover what it is that's really important to us, especially after an experience like a betrayal with a love relationship or interpersonal relationship or something that happens in a work relationship. So.
And this can also be created by a death in the family or a near accident, near death yourself, couldn't
Absolutely. Near-death experience is a really perfect example, because oftentimes people will have that experience of dying and then realizing that there's more to life than what we thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw a good maybe years ago, and it showed somebody having like near-death experiences and that, and how something like that, it shakes them up. And I believe that, you know, it was meant to happen before to bring it out, to help that person. And we noticed that also you have your book here, Betrayal, Trust, and Forgiveness. And your publisher did send me a copy, and I did receive it, and it looks excellent. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it looks really, really good.
Yes, well, actually, in my book, I talk about how these tragedies, traumas, shocking experiences actually take us through a symbolic death to the potential for a renewal, spiritual renewal and soul renewal. So when you bring up near-death experience, it's a really good example.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you'll have it. Like I've had a few myself, near-death experiences, and every experience it's different and it's unique.
Well, it's also, it's not just the near-death experiences, but we go through ego deaths as well.
Yeah.
So there's the death of the body, which of course brings us to the awareness that there's more to life than this. But then there are all of those little deaths we suffer all the way through life. And the question is, how do we find life after those deaths?
Yeah.
That's the real challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Because some people just don't know how to, you know, get themselves back up after experiencing such a thing.
Right, and also where do we turn?
Yeah.
And oddly enough, we keep thinking that we have to focus on the person who hurt us or the situation that injured us. And the truth is, if we take all of that energy and put it back towards ourselves and go into our own source of wisdom, our own source of healing, discover what it is that is important to us, that's what brings us back to life.
Yeah, absolutely. Because people will close their hearts and they'll run, you know, and they'll just think that's it. What would you recommend, let's say, if somebody has closed their heart and they just, you know, they've lost trust? And
well, right. Well, there are certain reactions that we have that you can recognize. Feeling resentful, seeing only the negative in your partner, wanting to control and manipulate because you can't trust anybody, so you have to try to get what you want. Yeah. So the key in those circumstances is to rebuild trust in yourself, trust in the choices and decisions that you make. And what would be especially important in order to make that shift is I like using intuitive resources. So how do we open to our own inner guidance, inner wisdom, inner support? And oftentimes there are many outer resources that start showing up kind of synchronistically at that time.
Absolutely. And you can attract it. You know, and I know that, like, even, you know, everybody, of course, has had those experiences with broken down relationships and such. And I mean, like I've even said, you just need that time to heal, where you have people who just constantly keep going in and out of relationships nonstop. They don't give themselves that proper time to heal. And that's one of the worst things that you could do.
Well, right, and also when we're healing and we're going inward, doing the inner work, it's important what questions we ask.
Yeah.
So if you ask, how could I have been such a jerk, you're going to get an answer to that.
Yeah, exactly.
So a better question is to go, what did my soul have in mind for me in dealing with something like this? Or how can I grow from this? Or what's the positive strength that I've gained as a result of going through even something as difficult as this?
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of questions that turn us back to that unconquerable spirit that exists inside every human being.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because some people just turn in
and it hurts, you know. It's also about learning to have compassion for ourselves. And to understand that we are also very vulnerable creatures.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that soul searching. Because I recommend to people, you have to spend some good quality time alone. Right? You know, rather than dashing and dashing, because some people just run away, you know, keep themselves busy, you know, 24 hours a day to try to forget about something. And that's the worst thing you can do.
Right. And actually, the other thing that really helps too is taking time and space to heal is absolutely number one. But also, I like to think of the term forgiveness as, what is this for giving to me? You know, and really, as we gain the gift of whatever experience we're having, that allows us to go forward. I really, and I know that both of you and the audience as well have come to be aware how every experience in our life is part of our spiritual journey.
Absolutely.
So how do we remember the deeper truth, not just the pain and hurt?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then with the book, you do sessions, you have clients and that, and you work with them. And the book, is it something a person could take home and go through
it's
and
full
use
of
on a daily?
step-by-step exercises, and particularly it also is in a way an intuition development book. Like the two of you, I was also psychic in childhood, and the key is, how do we begin to develop our resources, not just so we can protect ourselves in what we feel is an unsafe world, but to use those inner intuitions to guide us back to ourselves and to guide us in life to greater health, healing, and wholeness. So the book is step by step. How do you deal with those injuries in a way that return you to yourself?
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause you got to be ready to, you know, do that dark night of the horse. Dark night of the soul.
Actually, the dark night of the soul. That's what this is.
Oh, yeah.
That's totally what it is.
Exactly. You know, instead of running from the situation, thinking to avoid the situation.
That's
right? Because then we just keep on repeating our patterns,
well,
running from bad relationship to bad relationship, and then you're not taking that time in between to really grasp and understand why are you drawn to that person.
Well, actually, this is what the book is also about, is how do you begin to understand the pattern, use your intuition to perceive the pattern, and see if there's something that's repeating here. What is the gift or opportunity for your own growth? And I look at different betrayal or traumatic experiences as different opportunities for growth. So injuries in family, like betrayal with our relationship with our mother, is a test to come to discover our own inner source of nurturance instead of always looking outside for the one who is supposed to be there to support us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, or father wounds are about that ability to be self-directed and to champion yourself. And then I go all the way from the personal betrayal wounds to societal betrayal wounds, those job layoffs, those the issues of racism or prejudice, and then I also even deal with climate change and how, you know, I spent time in Indonesia after the tsunami training people on how to blend spirituality and psychology to overcome something even as tragic and horrendous as 170,000 deaths in our own neighborhood, you know. So it's hard to understand how something like that also is part of our spiritual journey. So the book actually covers the full spectrum.
And that's what's really needed, you know, especially, you know, even for people here who went through the flood.
Exactly.
Right? You know, I mean, some people, of course, are still, coming to terms with it, and of course sorting everything out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do we make sense of something like that?
I know.
How do we find a way to go forward? That's the key.
Absolutely. So let's say, for instance, if our viewers, wanted to get in touch with you, what would be the best way?
Well, they can always go to my website, of course.
Okay.
And I do have a way to contact me through my website, which is...
And what's your website?
Yes, that's www.Dr.Beth.Hedva.com, no spaces, and I understand you'll be showing that.
Yes.
And, also people are certainly welcome to call the office as well.
Yeah.
Email, through the website is probably the easiest way to get in touch with me. And we do offer Skype as well as in office, and I do quite a bit of traveling and teaching and training. Excellent. But I also have associates that I've trained, and so we have a number of people who are able to do this process and help people.
Oh, good. Excellent. Excellent. Well, we want to thank you for coming on. And
thank you.
10 minutes just goes by so quickly.
Absolutely.
And I recommend that, Calgary and the viewers, pick up and take a look at your book.
Thank you. And I would like to mention it's at Self-Connection in Calgary.
Yes, I remember. That's why I'm like, where can they get it if you wanted to go down there? Absolutely.
Yes.
And also the CD.
Yes.
We have a forgiveness meditation CD, don't forget, Calgary.
Yes, and they're both on Amazon.com.
Yeah. Excellent, excellent. Yes. Well, thank you again, Beth. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Jenny.
And, there's going to be other shows coming on too, so, you never know what will happen, right?
Well, it'll be a pleasure to return if there's ever an opportunity. And Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Calgary, we're going to start taking calls after this break. And what's that number, Kim?
403-539-6710.
We'll be right back, Calgary, right after this message. Hold tight.
Well, we got a lot covered.
Welcome back, Calgary. We're here already. And we want to again thanks Beth for coming on the show. She has to leave. She's got a busy schedule tonight, so she's not able to stay the show. And just a reminder, Calgary, what is that number?
It's 403-539-6710.
So we're waiting for your calls, Calgary, so pick up that phone. And it was interesting, actually, earlier. I normally take some pictures on the set, and I do put them up on Twitter and also on Facebook and such. And anytime that we take pictures of Kim and I, we always laugh at them because we get all these different auras and images behind us. I mean, even Kim, for instance, you had an Aboriginal energy around you. Very much on the show. And I even showed one of the crew here it, and they even saw a picture of the man beside you. Mm-hmm. So I did put it up on Facebook, I believe. Yeah. So hopefully that will come out.
And then you had the green. You had a lot of green energy around you in 2 or 3 of the pictures.
Yeah, and green represents the etheric, of course, and also represents the heart chakra. And I mean, it's interesting with the betrayal or trust, because I've done a lot of healing even myself from previous relationships with a few different things. So for that to come out, that's really good, actually. It was.
And we've got a caller.
Already.
Wanda?
Wanda.
Hey.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, Wanda.
Hi.
Thank you for coming to the show, phoning in.
I couldn't resist. I just happened across this as I was cruising through the channels, and I have been trying to get a reading online for weeks and haven't gotten anywhere. And so I thought I would just talk with you people and see what I'm allowed to ask.
Beautiful. And your question is?
Pardon me?
What's your question, Wanda?
Well, you say soul work, and somebody there is clairvoyant. So does my question have to be specifically soul-oriented, or do you ask for my soul to come forward during this reading?
Just your question.
Because we get a lot of calls normally, so we only usually answer one question. Okay. Right? If we're able to spend a little extra time with you, we can certainly do that, but it just depends on our backup of calls, and we already have calls on hold right now. So ask us a question, and we'll do our best to answer it as best as we can for you.
Okay, the question is, what can I do to increase my vitality right now? I'm in the middle of a bunch of people who are fighting about divorce and alcoholism, and I've been actually making strides with some and yet not making strides in other areas, and I'm just feeling like pounded down right now.
It's time to walk away, right?
Yeah.
It's time. You're a runaway healer. Are you familiar with that?
I'm a runaway healer.
Yes. Are you familiar with that?
I'm a light being, and I'm a shaman, and I haven't got any training for it. I wing it with it.
Yeah, but it's naturally your old soul. It's naturally in you, right? And there's only so much that we can do to help someone, right? We can't spend, and drain our energy helping people, right? When it starts to affect us, right, that's when it's time for us to walk away from the situation, because if not, it's going to drain you completely. And I'm feeling within 3 months from now that things are really going to open for you, and I'm even seeing you teaching. Are you teaching now?
I try to teach kids, like teenagers and that, how to do certain things,
Bring it out more, because I actually really feel that you're going to go into concentrating more on your healings and teachings, because you have teacher written all over you.
Oh my goodness. Well, these kids are not like responding right now.
It doesn't
They're actually
matter.
Trying to get rid of me.
It doesn't matter. I actually see you moving into adults more. Right? Like there'll always be different ages, of course, around you, but I see your energy changing. It has been changing for quite some time, the past year and a half. So you're going to be bringing in more adults as well, right?
Okay.
But there's a fine tune with all of that. Okay.
Where can I go to find who I need to help me do this?
You can book an appointment with either Kim or myself as well, right? And we can help you, with that too. I help bring out people's abilities. You can go to my website, soulworkwithjeni.com, or Kim, what's your website?
spiritandsoulhealing.com.
Yes. So if you'd like to do something like that, we can do that. That's not a problem whatsoever. Okay. But we want to thank you for calling in, but we've got a long lineup of calls right now.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Diana? Our next caller is Diana.
Thank you.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, Diana. Do you have a question for us tonight?
Yes. Thank you so very much for taking my call. I have a question. I need some help to find a way to deal with my oldest son. I'm going through a very, very tough time with him, and it's quite exhausting. And I'm trying to find a way how to avoid any kind of clashes, misunderstanding, or bad energy. Sometimes I feel exhausted after one day or a few hours.
Yeah, it's again stepping back. If the person's going to, I find when you go into conversation, if you get that static, step back and end the conversation until the person's cooled down. You both just need to give each other space. I think I've got a funny feeling you're both just as persuasive as each other. You just got to give each other space. And he's over 18.
Yes.
So don't worry. Let him figure it out. You sit back, work. Let him be. We've got to make our own mistakes as we grow up.
Yeah, he's got a lot of past issues to clear, right? And I just feel his energy being very, very, very heavy. It's almost like he's just around certain people he shouldn't be around, and it's almost like his head is filled with all of these people talking to him about to do this, to do this, to do that. So he's very confused right now. So yes, as Kim said, he needs the space, and you need the space from him. And the only way that we can help, our children grow and certain other people is to actually walk away from it. There's only so much that we can say or do, right? But he does need that space, because I'm really feeling he's just overwhelmed right now with just so much going on that he doesn't know which direction to go yet. Right.
But I'm concerned about his health issues.
He's getting drained. It's the stress. That's why I said, like, he's got too much going on his mind. When you get overloaded, right, you get overburdened. The more weight's go on your shoulders, you get like no energy, right? So it's slowly depleting. So he needs some space, as Kim said.
Yeah, and don't worry about them. Just send them love and light. Just send them lots of love. Don't worry about them, and it'll help out more than you sitting back and worrying, because that adds to that state. So we need to keep good thoughts about them. So thank you very much.
And just give him the space, right? But he might be sleeping a little bit more. Okay, and let him. Right, because he's going. It's almost like he's kind of going through this energy change through his body, right? And he's going to get more drained and more tired. So give him the space. But we want to thank you for calling in. It's just, of course, we have another caller right now.
Okay, thank you so very much.
Thanks for calling.
And our next caller is Catherine.
Yes.
Hi, Catherine. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm fine.
And your question for us tonight?
You got to put your guards down, Catherine. Put your guards down.
How can you tell?
Immediately.
Yeah.
Put your guards down and just open your heart.
Okay, I just feel like I'm a very giving person, and I know I am.
Yeah, that's why I said the heart.
And I keep giving and giving and giving and giving, and I just feel like there's so many people taking and taking. Not people, but I don't know what it is. Okay, I'm just...
Yeah, you got to stop, and that's the thing, right? We can get overburdened by so many people taking advantage of us in so many different ways, and that's when we have to step back, right? And have that quiet time again. I stress that out to people so much. You have to have that quiet time, because you're going to get overburdened, which you are already, and people are hanging on to your energy field, right? There's only so much you can do. Your health is kind of shifting a little bit too. Right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah, and you got to watch that, because if you don't watch that, you're going to run into some problems, some major problems. Okay, so step back, have that space, have that quiet time. Okay, get away from the negative people around you, the negative energies, clear that out. Start bringing in positive people that are here to support you.
And start saying no.
Yes.
Because when you always say yes, you're enabling people to continue taking from you. When you start to say no, then you're allowing them to grow and learn how to do things on their own. And that's what they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's also, it's also my students. I have a hard time saying no, because they're very high needs.
Yes.
Then there's their parents, and then there's everybody else.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you need a balance.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
A balancing game, right? You know, we all have a big heart. I have, I have a really big heart too, and I do a lot for people. But then it's time that we need to kind of step back and say, it's time to go somewhere else now. It's time to, attach to somebody else, because if you don't take after, yourself really, and take that time, you're going to fall flat on the floor, and this is what happens. And this is what even happens to me. I get drained. I'm flattened out, right? And you can't have people do that. There's a limit. But just take that time, and we want to thank you for calling in. It's just we have another caller on hold again. And thanks for calling in.
So our next caller is Heather.
Heather.
Hello.
Hello. How are you tonight, Heather?
I'm doing fine. How are you ladies doing?
Good. And your question for us?
It's in concerning employment. I've been unemployed for quite a while now, and I was just wondering, is it going to get any better for me? Am I going to find a job?
I'm not feeling immediately, to be really honest with you. I'm really feeling that, and I don't normally say this, but I'm just kind of feeling, you still need to slow down a little bit, even though that might sound crazy. Okay?
And do you really want a job?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm feeling you still need that slow down period. Okay, and be able to, really reflect on things. You're going to have a few choices coming up, and I don't know why I'm getting this, but I'm feeling like you in a rec center of some sort, a recreational center of some sort. I see you working with a lot of different people. You're really good at it. Are you I'm seeing a pool at a recreational center. What is that? Do you know what that is right now?
Yeah, I do actually. I'm going to be starting to do some volunteer work
There you
actually
go.
at a recreation center.
There you go. Okay, that's where it comes in. Okay, and that's excellent because the pool represents water as well. And you very well, this has given you an opportunity to see what it is you really like to do because you're really good with working with people. And I'm seeing younger kids around you. I see you working like being more active. So you could very well, you know, even find work at the recreational center indeed because you're going to get a lot of positive feedback from it.
It's kind of interesting. It's not kind of my field of endeavor, but...
No, but just go with it, okay? Because this recreational pool, that's why I brought that up immediately, because that came to me even earlier before I brought that up. Okay, so that's really going to pull you in, and those doors are going to open, because I'm seeing like a whistle around your neck of some sort, almost like if you're like a coach of some sort, and I'm seeing kids around you. So just stay open. Like, just stay open, because sometimes we don't know really who we are until we just stumble across something and we're like, wow, I'm actually really enjoying this.
Yeah.
You know, and this might be something I want to pursue and take even study course, which I see you doing. Some man's going to talk to you from the rec and say, have you thought of doing this?
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much for calling in. Unfortunately, we're at the end of our show already.
Oh.
And we want to...
do we have time for
do
one
we have
quick...
time for a call?
There's Elizabeth.
Do we have a quick call, actually?
Elizabeth?
Elizabeth?
Hello?
Maybe not.
Oh.
Hello?
Oh, yes, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Do you have a quick question
Quick
for
question
us?
for us.
Well,
Oh, boy.
it seems that I just can't let the past go.
Yeah.
I make myself depressed thinking about it, you know?
The past is the past. It's now that you need to be in this moment. Enjoy every moment as you come along. Let go of the other stuff.
Yeah, because
you're done.
You've got to really look at that real serious, okay? Because there's some issues going on, some health issues, okay? And it's going to slam.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, and it's going to slam you down hard. Okay, it's almost like I see you standing, and it's like you're getting shorter and shorter and shorter because your health is going down. So it's time. It's funny how all these calls are like this tonight, because it's time to walk away. It's from all of this. It's time to stop doing 100 things for so many people, right? Because when people do that, you'll continue to do that. They'll take advantage of you, and unfortunately, we have to cut you off. We're at the end of our show already, but feel free to give us a call next Wednesday night, Elizabeth. And thanks again to Kim.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny,
for coming on the show and her picking me up. I'm actually stranded and snowed in. I can't get out whatsoever. Kim had to come in from Cochrane and pick me up. How pathetic. And I still can't get out. So drive safely, Calgary, even if you have to leave a lot earlier, which you know you do. No speeding, slow down, and have a good night, and we'll catch you again next Wednesday night on Soul Work Shaw TV.
Hi, we're the Kinderjet family.
These are our crazy kids.
Traveling with them is expensive. They each need their own airplane seat,